The Crow 2024. Sorry. This video will contain spoilers. The Crow 2024. Universally negative ratings. I watch it in cinema. Bill Skarsgård, I think, is the only person in this I recognise. But I feel they're going to put Brandon Lee in the credits here. Surprising. So, I've been interested in watching the original for a while, and I just didn't get around to it until 2 days ago. I'm recording this on Thursday. I seen the original on Tuesday, because today is the last day to watch this before it leaves the cinema, and I ended up watching it last night. And I gotta say, the first one, something I forgot to mention about the first one in my review for that was that it kind of reminded me of Spawn. I think I had something to say about that connected to this, but I don't know what that is. I just wanted to point out that, I made that connection, and I forgot to mention it in the review. But that one, it started off and I thought it's okay. Like, it's nothing special. But then as it went on, I did start to like it. And it was quite good. This one, I feel like they've changed it up so much to the point where you can't even call it The Crow. It's more of an action film, which, I mean, an action film is kind of what I expected from the first one, but I wasn't disappointed that it wasn't. This one, there were some cool kills, like he curb stomps someone. He puts a sword through a guy's mouth, like sideways through a guy's mouth. They were kind of cool, but other than that, the action was nothing special. If the original was like a 7.2, 7.3 for me, this is like a 7 or 6.9. It's not as good as the original, but it's close, despite the fact that they've changed it up too much. And I don't think that anything they changed up was good. The makeup, I don't get why they thought that was a good idea. It reminds me way too much of Jared Leto's Joker. So I don't get why they looked at Bill Skarsgård with all the tattoos on and went, yeah, this looks like something that failed miserably, but this time it won't. I can feel it. The prison thing, I mentioned this in my take for the trailer. It turns out it's not a prison, it's a rehab facility, which is why there's men and women there. But so it's fucked up that the guards are just abusive. I feel like with the fact that the problem with this is that, in the original, Eric is immortal, kind of, until they realize that, if you kill the Crow, Eric becomes mortal. So they injure the Crow and they're able to injure Eric. But with this, he's immortal until the point where he realizes, his wife, or they're not married in this, but he realizes what happened to Shelley before they met, where she was convinced by a guy to kill another girl. And he starts to doubt her, and because of that, he becomes mortal, but then he becomes immortal 5 minutes after that. There's no real stakes to it. It kind of reminded me of Midnight. Like, the very first Moon Knight comic I read, which I read it before I seen the show. And I thought, yeah, this guy's badass, but he's a little too badass. There's no real stakes to it. And there's no conflict, because it was like, I think it was the Marvel Now run of Moon Knight was the first one I read, where any problem he encountered, he just went to fucking Conchi or whatever the guy's name is. I don't remember. It's been a while. And he's like, oh, there's zombies. Oh, just take this thing and use it. And there's no stakes, no conflict, because he just can't die. So there's no real point to it. Does it deserve the, 4.7 on IMDb and the 23 on Rotten Tomatoes? No. Is it a good film? Nah. But it is decent. Even though I'm not trying to, act like I'm the expert on The Crow. I only watched the first one 2 days ago. And I've never read the comics. So, take everything that I say with a grain of salt. But it's just, as someone new to it, I feel like if you ignore the fact that it just is not The Crow, it is an okay film. Final review, Shining Girls. I went into this, having seen the first episode, and I really wasn't excited for this. I went in after, I think, Defending Jacob. Well, initially I went in after Defending Jacob. I might have mentioned this in the Week Crash review, but I did. Defending Jacob, I went on to this for half an episode. And then I looked at the storage on my iPad, because I downloaded all these episodes. And the storage was not good. I had 10 gigs left on a 64 gig iPad. It's just like, right, what's taking up the most space, at least on Apple TV? And it was the Mosquito Coast. So I was like, okay, right, I'll watch those. And then I was like, shit, fuck it, I'll just have to go on the Week Crash, because I think I mentioned this in the Week Crash random review, but I had all those downloaded, but I didn't go on to them because I thought I was halfway through an episode. And it turned out it wasn't, so it was fine. Then I watched all that, then I went back to this. I wasn't excited going into it, because the first episode was okay. It was just barely enough to keep me going. Whereas everything else, Defending Jacob, Mosquito Coast, We Crashed, all them, they did have very good first episodes, so I was more excited for those. But as this went on, it got quite good, and it started to make sense, surprisingly. I had a feeling this is going to be one of those things where just by the end you're more confused than you were at the start. But most things, if not everything, is clear by the end. The only thing I really think of is just, is it time travel? Is it a multiverse? Is it both? Who knows? And there's no answer to that, because the answer doesn't really matter. But just as a comics guy, I want to know. And I'd also like them to be careful of that answer if they ever were to answer it, because I'm tired of, The Flash was marketed as a multiverse film, even though it just wasn't. It was a time travel film. But sorry about that. Part of what put me off, I think, was the fact that Elizabeth Moss starred in it, and she, I was watching or listening to her on David Tennant's podcast, and he was talking about how, she starred in all these successful shows like West Wing, Mad Men, The Handmaid's Tale, stuff like that. And those 3 shows, I don't like them. Not for politics or anything like that. It's just I find them all boring. and also because of Handmaid's Tale, and just the title of this, it keeps on making me think it's a feminist thing, but technically it is, but also at the same time it isn't really. It's based on a book, and the book is called The Shining Girls, and there's something about the fact that the definite article just makes it seem like it's not a feminist thing, whereas the removal of it makes it seem like it is. I don't understand. But her performance, Wagner Moura's performance, Jamie Bell's performance, they were all great. And I never really paid attention to Jamie Bell before, you know. I've seen him in a couple of things that I thought, well, okay, he's there. But no, he was great in this. Hard to say stuff. I don't really know what there is to say, even though I'm recording this just as I finished it. Like, it's a good show, and that's all there really is to it.